Should you have to pay more to make big cuts? It sounds backwards, but that's what Senate Budget Chairman Kent Conrad has in mind. He wants a nearly $2 trillion tax hike to cut down the United States' $4.3 trillion and everyday growing debt. This on top of cutting just $80 billion from entitlement programs. Does any of this make sense? Here now to discuss are my freedom fighters, Fox Business anchor and my colleague, Cheryl Casoni, Nancy Skinner, radio host and Freedom Watch regular, and Nicole Neely, Independent Women's Forum executive director. Skinner, to you first. I suppose because you never met a tax you didn't like, you're in favor of raising taxes by $2 trillion, right?
Well, I have to tell you this, Judge. Kent Conrad is a deficit hawk. Okay, so I watched his whole presentation. Anyone who watches that would be thoroughly convinced that it's the right plan. And if you get your way, Judge, and they don't up that debt ceiling, for every 1% increase in interest rates, we're going to add to the debt $1.3 trillion. So this game of chicken could end up just making this debt problem so much larger. He is proposing a 50-50 deal. Yes, we would actually overall there's going to be net tax reductions. The Democrats have to compromise. The Republicans have to.
Okay,
we need revenue increases and spending cuts, and he has a logical plan.
Got it. Nicole, aren't taxes, new taxes, tax increases, dead on arrival in the House of Representatives, where the Republicans have a majority, and in the Senate, where they have enough to filibuster this?
Absolutely. And you know what? Kent Conrad hasn't done his job for 800 days. There has not been a budget. I am shocked that he thought that it would be even acceptable to come to the table after the president has proposed $5 for every $1, $5 in cuts for every $1 in tax increases. Simpson Bowles has proposed $3 in cuts, and then Conrad shows up and he thinks 1-to-1 is okay?
Cheryl, what does Wall Street think about this? I mean, a $2 trillion tax increase would be an enormous blow to the economy if they even thought that it was going to happen.
Wall Street's a little more concerned right now about the deadline, to be honest with you, because it's not just going to affect what happens in politics and who or who does not get elected next year. It affects mortgage rates. It affects auto loans, student loans. I mean, that's the credit rating of the United States, what Wall Street cares about. With regards to Mr. Conrad, his numbers don't add up, and I think that's the problem. I'm a numbers lady, as you know, and if you don't make meaningful spending cuts, forget the raising of the taxes, even if it is $250,000, excuse me, and above for families, doesn't even begin to cover the problem. We've got to make spending cuts to cover the credit.
Nancy, please put your hat on as a Democratic analyst and answer this for me, please. The president intimated he'd like to raise taxes by $1 trillion. Senator Conrad, who knows this would never happen while the Republicans control the House and the Republicans have a filibuster-proof majority in the Senate, wants to raise taxes by $2 trillion. What do they gain politically by offering to do that which they know will never happen legally in the present environment?
Well, the proposal by Conrad is this is very key. They would only raise taxes on an individual making over $500,000, a couple making over $1 million. Okay, that is it.
Nancy,
so the American public supports that.
We're back to this again. That's small businesses.
No, that's
the issue, Nancy.
No, that is not. No, Cheryl.
Why is it not?
Nancy, I got this information. Check it out. And they're going to close tax havens. There's one building in the Cayman Islands that is 5 stories and it has 18,000 companies in it. Because these guys are abusing the tax code.
Conrad should go there.
The Democrats are willing to propose the impossible, which is a tax increase with Republicans controlling the Congress. The Obama administration has now extended the deadline for states to establish the health care exchanges mandated under Obamacare. Remember that? So far, only 12 states have set up these exchanges, leaving the rest either financially unable or unwilling to comply. But is more time really what the remaining states need? If they don't have the funds now, how will they have it later? Cheryl, the states are trying to close a collective budget gap amongst all 50 of them, over $100 billion. Where are they going to get the cash to set up insurance exchanges that Obamacare mandates?
They're not, and what's going to happen with many states that have, I mean, 48 of the 50 states are at this point could be insolvent. I mean, we still have huge problems in the muni market right now, which is what I look at from a business perspective. They don't have the money. It's going to end up going to the federal government. It's going to be responsible by the federal government, and the federal government doesn't have the money either.
Skinner,
so,
are we going to have a one-payer system because the states can't afford to set up these exchanges and the federal government can just print its own cash and spend that on a grand national exchange? What do you think?
No, you know, the reason that most states are broke is because of Medicaid is out of control. So it is in their interest to set up, and this is the complaint, that there's maximum flexibility, that states could set it up however they want to, if they want more control over the policies or if they want the companies. That's what Republicans should love, maximum flexibility, and ultimately they will pay less in Medicaid expenses, and their budgets will come more into balance.
So, Nancy,
they should, this is the federal law.
Nancy Skinner wants to make a states' rights argument, but really this is the opposite of states' rights. This is the federal government commandeering the states and saying, you will raise taxes and you will spend that money how we tell you, or we will do it and take a credit on what we owe you.
Absolutely. We're pretending like we're giving states the flexibility, but Obamacare still sets federal levels, and if your state program isn't good enough, if it isn't big enough, it's not comprehensive enough, they can still step in. So this is a state's program in name only. And at the end of the day, we don't have the money for it. It's ridiculous.
The federal government's going to be responsible.
And how does the federal government decide what states to go hard on and what states to go easy on?
Well, the states are going to have to actually make that determination themselves. They're the ones that are going to go back with their hand out to the U.S. government at the end of the day and say, we cannot afford this. Again, because of, perfect argument, the Medicaid situation. Nancy's correct on that. And sometimes Nancy and I agree on things.
Nancy, you finally said something we all agree on. Nancy Skinner, Nicole Neely, Cheryl Casoni, it's a pleasure. Thank you for joining us.